classes memory of Jared Orchin. This week I was in Israel, and I went to visit a family member who lives in the West Bank, deep in the West Bank. I didn't want to go, I ended up going. I was there. While I was driving there, I remembered that somebody here in Cleveland told me that he was in a place that's called Shiloh. I come to my brother-in-law and I asked him, how far is Shiloh from you? He tells me, 200 minutes drive. I told him, I want to go there. He told me, I'm not doing it, it's so hot, I'm not going. He was forced by his wife to go with me to visit Shiloh. What is Shiloh? You see, the Jewish people entered the land. We all know about Jerusalem. Jerusalem, that was the place that was the first temple. King Solomon built the first temple, and later the second temple. But Jerusalem, the temple was built 440 years after the Jewish people entered the land of Israel. Then the question is, where were the Jews? Where was the temple until they made it to Jerusalem? The answer for it is a place that's called Shiloh. When Joshua led the Jewish people into the land of Israel, he took the portable temple that was in the desert, the portable sanctuary, the tabernacle it's called, and he erected in a place that's called Gilgal for 14 years. After 14 years, he moved it to a place that's called Shiloh. They built walls from stone, but they used the same portable roof. It's like a tent made from material that they used all the time in the desert. They used the same portable roof to make a point that this is not the final destination. But this temporary building in Shiloh stood for 369 years. It's a while. Until the Philistines destroyed it. From the time of Joshua to the time of Samuel, throughout the time of the judges, it was a time of the judges before the time of the prophets. Samuel was the first official prophet after Moses. Between Moses and Samuel, they were called the judges. Throughout the time of the judges, the temple was standing in Shiloh. Later, the temple was destroyed. A few years later, they went to one place and another place. Eventually, they made it to Jerusalem. But where is Shiloh? Why everybody knows where Jerusalem is and nobody knows where Shiloh is? That's the question. Why nobody cares to know where Shiloh is? Well, hundreds of years ago, there were Christians and Bible researchers who came and they went to Israel and they discovered, based on description in the Bible, where Shiloh is. Usually the Bible doesn't tell you exactly where the place is. The place is on the north of this and the south of this. The Bible usually tells you the name of the place. When it comes to Shiloh, the Bible says exactly it's on the side, I don't remember which side. It's on the side. It's in north of Bethel, and it's and the other. It's close to Nablus and so on. Gives you a clear description of where Shiloh is, and by this you can already establish where Shiloh is more or less. More than that, one of the interesting things in Israel is that the names of the places were preserved for 3,000 years. You see, Jews did not live in Shiloh probably for 2,000 years, maybe more, maybe 3,000 years. There were on and off communities there. Who lives there in the last 1,500 years? Arabs. They call the name Khirbat Silun. Silun, it sounds like Shiloh. Then from this, the researchers know that they are on the right place. But only in 2006 they discovered an amazing piece of mosaic. There is constantly going on archaeological diggings in Shiloh. They discovered mikvahs, they discovered structures, they discovered churches and mosques. And in one of the churches, they discovered a piece of mosaic written in Greek. God bless the citizens of Shiloh. That was the best proof that this is it. In Shiloh, they discovered it. I was in this place. You can see the place. It's a lot of archaeological diggings. Now that you know where Shiloh is, takes a right to get to Shiloh. It's not so easy. When you know where Shiloh is, the question was, where is the temple in Shiloh? Where was the temple standing? They thought one place, then the researchers saw another place. Finally, they came to the conclusion, kind of by the edge of the mountain, there is a flat place, piece of land, and there is walls around it. Still the walls are standing. When they measure the walls from the length of the walls and the width of the walls, they discovered it's the same size as the portable sanctuary. Because they use the same roof. That they have to use that they have to have the same size. This proved them where the place of the sanctuary was. Another interesting proof to the place of the sanctuary has to do with pottery. Because we have pottery lovers in our community, it's important to know that. When you look on the edge of the mountain is very high, you look down, they found a lot of pieces of pottery there. Why? Because by Jewish law, when you eat a piece of sacrificial meat and a piece of pottery and a plate, because the plate of the pottery gets some of the taste of the meat, and in Jewish law, you're not allowed to leave any leftover of the sacrificial meat, and you cannot kasher the plate because you cannot get it out because the pottery clay cannot be kashered. You must break it. It's all complicated Jewish law, but that's the bottom line. That they found in the bottom of the mountain many pieces of pottery, and that was another sign. And they were able to find out what age of time is it, and they built there in the top of the mountain like a tower, and you go up to the tower and you see the whole place in front of you. They were able to combine from there's a window, and they bring like a video, and in the video you see the future and the past and the present together. It's like it confuses you. You're not sure what's a video, what's real. Very, very interesting place. What is one of the most amazing stories we know from Shiloh is the story with Hannah. Hannah was a woman who could not have children. She was married to a man with the name Elkanah. And Elkanah had another wife with the name Penina. Penina had children, Hannah did not have children. Then Hannah came once to Shiloh, when they used to come to Shiloh to visit. It's a whole discussion when they visit. Could be it was the one it's written. There is one commentary that says they were visiting on Pesach, because it's written they used to come miyamim yamima, and the expression yamim yamima is written about Pesach in the Bible, in the book of Exodus. But that's a whole discussion and so on. She came to Shiloh. She was standing, talking to herself. Eli was an old high priest, and he didn't know what's going on. He says Shiloh was not a place. The temple was not a place of prayer. It was a place to offer sacrifices. Nobody prayed in the temple in this time. And the whole idea of praying to yourself was not heard of. That he comes over to her and he asks her, "Are you drunk?" She says, "I'm not drunk. I'm a woman who is bitter woman who is praying for a child." He felt so bad that he gave her a blessing right there. He told her, "Go home. God will fulfill your request." Eli's blessing gave her the blessing of a child. She had a child. His name was Samuel. This weekend, when I spoke about it, somebody from the community came over to me and he told me he was last year in Shiloh. And there is a place there where they know where the temple is, they have like the prayer of Hannah right there, printed. And he said he was standing there and he was praying for a friend a friend from Chicago, that his daughter had a very hard time to have children. They came back, she got pregnant. He didn't tell them anything because he didn't want to stress them about it. After she gave birth to a boy, the daughter's name is Anna, and she called her son Samuel without knowing anything. Only after the child was born, he told her the story. It's unbelievable. Then the question is, why is it that the Jewish people never cared to know where Shiloh is? They cared to know where Jerusalem, but they never cared to know where Shiloh is. Because the truth is, Jerusalem, after the temple was built there, became a holy place. The Temple Mount is a holy site. We are not allowed to go on the Temple Mount. Shiloh, even after the destruction of the Temple mountain is a holy place. Shiloh was holy as long as the temple was there. The temple moved, the holiness moved with it. Therefore, it's not a holy place anymore. Therefore, just never looked for Shiloh. But there is still something unique about Shiloh, more than Jerusalem. It's interesting to note that in the Bible, in the 5 books of Moses, the name of Jerusalem is not mentioned. Jerusalem is mentioned all over the prophets, I think 800 places, times, Zion, Jerusalem, other names like this. But in the 5 books of Moses, Jerusalem is not mentioned. God says in Deuteronomy a few times, I'll take you to the place that I will choose. But he doesn't say which place is it. In Parshat Rei, God says, and I'll bring you to El Menucha Vel Nachana, to your resting place and to your inheritance. You should build a temple, you should offer sacrifices. The Rashi says, Menucha, to your resting place is Shiloh, Nachala, your inheritance place is Jerusalem. On the other end, the name Shiloh is mentioned one time in the 5 books of Moses, in a different context. Where is the name Shiloh mentioned?
Genesis chapter 49. Right?
Very nice. In the end of book of Genesis, and Jacob is blessing his children, he tells Judah, a leader will be from you descendants of this, by the Jewish people. Always the king will be from the tribe of Judah, until Shiloh comes. Who is Shiloh?
Mashiach,
the Messiah. Why is Messiah called Shiloh? Because one of the meaning of the word Shiloh comes from the word Shalva. Shalva means peace, tranquility. Mashiach will come, will bring peace to the world, right? And that's why Shiloh, the city, is also called, when the Torah says, I'll bring you to the place to the peaceful place, to the place of, where it's Menucha, resting place, then they call the place Shiloh, because Shiloh represents represents the tranquility and peace and rest. And that's what the word Shiloh means. Then the word Jerusalem is not mentioned in the 5 books of Moses, Shiloh is mentioned. And maybe Shiloh is still a place to go to pray for if you want to have children. And that's what's so unique about Shiloh.